Welcome to a new week of spiritual disciplines, brothers. This week we're focusing on the discipline of self-sacrifice. And I know it's very difficult to sacrifice yourself, to lay yourself down on an altar, even if it's for someone else's betterment or someone else's good. But that is what we're called to do, to lay down our lives out of love for the sake of someone else. And we begin this week of prayer points with, well, perhaps the best and greatest. We look at the greatest and most historic example of sacrifice ever made, and that was when God sacrificed himself on a cross for you and for me. Literally, God laid down his life on that cross so that you could be better because of it. He divested himself of freedom, rights, power, and control, brothers, so that you can have all of those through Christ. Praise be to God. Our God gave up his life for you and for me by giving up his one and only Son. You know, in Isaiah chapter 53, verse 10, the prophet was prophesying about the servant of God, the Son of God, Jesus. And he said it pleased God to crush him. Well, it pleased our God to crush his only Son, brothers, because God knew that Jesus would rise victoriously from the grave. And in rising from the grave, he would purchase your freedom. He knew what the greater plan would be. And so, let me ask you a question. When you read John chapter 3, verse 16, where it says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." Do you read that as a gift, or do you read it as an example? Because that's what it is, brothers. We have been given an example from our God. Our God laid down his life as a lesson for us. He's teaching us to lay down our lives for other people. We are not in this world to live unto ourselves. We are not in this world to make ourselves better. But we have been called by our Lord God to sacrifice ourselves for the betterment of someone else, so that perhaps someone else might live, so that perhaps someone else might become better, or they might advance. We are not to worry about our own safety, our own freedoms, or our own control. And so let us begin this week, brothers, learning about this spiritual discipline of sacrificing ourselves by taking on ourselves the example of our great God. Have a good week, brothers.